Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Jenny here, the Uncrafted Crafter. Welcome back to this week's WIP and Chat. So WIP, W-I-P, stands for work in progress. What that means is you grab your WIP, whatever you're working on, whether it's cross stitch, diamond painting, crochet, knit, laundry, picking up the kids' toys, whatever it is you're doing, and listening to, or doing and listen to me if you want to. So anyway, that's the plan, man. Got my coffee, gonna take a swig, and then we'll get started. I'm working on, so okay, I finished my Chuck penciling, you guys. Oh my God, I finally finished it. I'm so excited to get that thing done and over with. I love it. I loved working on it, but it was massive. And so by the end, I'm like, okay, just let me get this done. Just let me get this done. Just let me get this done. And I'm craving rounds. So, and I want to do the Mother Earth by Hannah Lynn for the Hannathon event that Shine Like a Diamond and Mystery of Diamonds are doing together for April. And then also it has flowers in it, so it will work for Mindy and GB Maltese's event for April. So I am super excited. And I really wanted to start it, but I couldn't. I have to wait till April the 1st. So anyway, I'm gonna kit that up and have it ready to start April 1st. But I was like, okay, I got to do something because I've been done with my Chuck for a couple of days now. And I'm like, I got to have something to do between now and then. So I pulled this partial out from Diamond Dots at home. And I'm loving it. Isn't that pretty? So that's what I'm working on. I'm using my Muni Made tray from Muni Made on Etsy. And I'm using this pen from Enabler's Outpost. Yes, it's new. I haven't unboxed it yet on the channel. I filmed it, but I haven't uploaded the video yet, so you'll be seeing that. Sneak peek, sneak peek. And then I'm using this little 30 bottle container that I got from Amazon. I'll be sure to have everything linked in the description box for your clicking pleasure, okay? Okay, so let's get started on this part here, which is this one. And number 8 is this little, I call it like a, I don't know, this is one of those symbols that like is annoying whenever there's multiple ones of it, like on Diamond Art Clubs. It's that little like wedge almost, or like a corner, little corner pieces. And you got one this way or one that way or one up that way or one that way. Those drive me crazy. I can't stand them. Cannot stand them. And I'm seeing little poppy hairs everywhere. They're driving me nuts. But it's been super fun working on this. I really, really, really like this canvas. I really, really love the drills. They're really pretty and sparkly and like almost zero trash, you know? So Diamond Dots is a win-win. Win-win. Okay, so let's get started on this WIP and Chat. Last week, I talked about me being pregnant or getting pregnant at 40, right? And then I decided to do a part 2 and do, tell you guys the story of having her, okay? So I guess you would say this is a giving birth after 40 story. So, when I ended with me being pregnant with her last week, I had mentioned that I was on bed rest the last little while. Seemed like a forever while. So, but yeah, the day that we went to have her, okay, we had it scheduled for March 21st, 2019. And sorry, I have my windows. I'll let that little thing pass. I don't know what that was. It was some sort of a, I don't know, like a gator or something, you know, one of those like off-road vehicles. But anyway, I have my windows open because it's beautiful outside. And so you're probably going to hear birds, vehicles, maybe the random yapping dog. I don't know. But anyway. Let me find my next color. I'll do this F, which is number 15. So anyway, I've said that like a million times. I should have like wrote notes because I know I'm going to miss things, but we go to have her, and I was like praying the few days beforehand that I wouldn't like go into labor. You know what I mean? I was like, please, Lord, don't let me go into labor and like it be a, like have to have the baby in the car on the way there, because that would be a train wreck, right? And luckily I didn't. Everything went as it was supposed to. And I was supposed to show up at the hospital, like, he had, whatever day it was scheduled was like his scheduled surgery day. So like, he had like another C-section ahead of me already scheduled that morning. So instead of being at the hospital at like 6 a.m., I didn't have to be there till like 9, I think. And my niece, who lives next door, we dropped Eli off to her that morning and went on to the hospital. And of course, you're excited, you're nervous, you're scared, you're all these things. Because 1, you're getting ready to have a baby. 2, I'm getting ready to have a baby and I'm over 40 years old. 3, I'm getting ready to have surgery. 4, I know I'm going to be in mega pain. Just all the things, you know. So, we get there. Dale lets me out, like, at the entrance. And I go inside and sit and wait on him. He parks the car, gets out, brings my, you know, little rolling suitcase that's got all the things I need for the day in there, you know. Clothes, baby clothes, all the stuffs. And, you know, chargers, all the things that you need. So he comes in, you know, and we're like walking to the department, you know, or to the elevator to go up to the whichever floor it was. And as I'm walking, I'm like texting everybody, you know, I'm like, we're here, blah, 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 blah. And we'll keep you informed. Please, family, don't share pictures on Facebook until we've announced first. That kind of thing, you know, because you know how family is. They don't think. They're just excited. I understand that. But, you know. And then I called my brother-in-law because my sister was coming there anyway. She was, like, going to be there with us. But my brother-in-law is a truck driver, her husband. And he was gone, you know, out of town. So I said, you know, you're the like honorary grandpa, right? Or papa, whatever, you know. And he's like, yeah, I know. We've already, I talked about this last time, last WIP and chat, because both of my parents had passed away, you know, and my sister and her husband kind of just like stepped in and kind of took over the grandparent role for Eli, you know. So he's like, I know, I'm excited, you know, can't wait to see her and all this. So while I'm working on this, I'll tell you another little story. Let me tell this before I get to any further, because I don't want to forget this. I'm trying to remember when it was, but it was, I'd say, about midways in my pregnancy that I had gone to the doctor's office and for a checkup, or, you know, one of my visits, and they couldn't get the heartbeat. And instantly, I mean, they had before, you know, they had heard the heartbeat a few times before that, but this particular time, they couldn't. And that is the letter H is number 12. So I was like, okay, what do we do? And my doctor's like, okay, I want you to go to the hospital and have an ultrasound. They did ultrasounds there in the office, but they have a schedule that they keep, and they were already like overbooked for ultrasounds in there that day. And so they couldn't do one on me, so I had to go to the hospital to have it done. But anyway, I was like, okay, this is not good. I mean, I was scared, and he's like, it's probably okay. You know, it's just, we want to just make sure. And he's like, have you felt her move? And I'm like, well, it's early in the day. Like, she's usually very quiet and like very, don't move around much this time of the day. You know what I mean? And honestly, it may have even been that I was like early enough that I hadn't yet felt her very much. You know what I mean? But I do know that later, whenever I could feel her moving, it was always later. Like mornings were her, she slept in the mornings, and then she moved all day and night, you know. But anyway, he sent us to the hospital for an ultrasound just to make sure. And so we were terrified, you know. I'm like terrified. I'm like, great. And they couldn't get us in at the hospital straight away either. We had to make an appointment. So we basically had to like go home, pick Eli up from school, take him to my niece's house, and then go back. And like the hospital is like 35 minutes away from us. So it was like, you know, back and forth. And it was rough because, you know, here all this time, it was like 2 hours before I could go to have the ultrasound. And so all this time, I'm terrified that something's really, really wrong, you know. And so I think that was the hardest part, was just the having to wait. You know, when you think something's wrong, you want answers like right now. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where we were at that. Well, by this time it was afternoon, I think, or maybe around noon or something. Anyway, we get back to the doctor's office, and so we're walking through the parking lot to the hospital, and as I get up on the sidewalk, I see a feather laying like right in the grass off of the sidewalk. And so for the longest time after my dad passed away, we always, when we would see a random feather outside or whatever, my siblings and I and some of our family and friends, we would be like, oh, that's, that's Dad saying hey, or, letting us know we're okay and all that kind of stuff. So, and the reason is because he talked on the CB radio, and his handle was Chicken George, and he would always say that saying about something about well put together, like birds of a feather or something like that. I can't remember exactly how he said it, but he would say that all the time. And so we decided, that whenever I saw that feather on the sidewalk, that was like a sign to me that everything was going to be okay. I know it sounds silly, but that's why I love feathers. And it's just funny because I'm working on this painting right now, but I do and love the feathers. And so I picked the feather up. I know people tell you not to do that, but I couldn't help it. I did. And I just put it in something, and like kept it. But I did go straight into the hospital and like wash my hands, because feathers are kind of, yucky. But J is number 6. So I picked the feather up, we went in. I went to the bathroom, washed my hands, and checked in, for my appointment. And we go in there, and the woman that is doing the ultrasound, she's like, okay, why are we here? And she had gotten a fax or email or whatever, from my doctor saying that we didn't know it, but she said, I see your doctor has got something about an emergency ultrasound or emergency scan for viability or something. I can't remember exactly. But when she said that, I was like, oh my God. So yeah, he thinks that this baby has no heartbeat, And I mean, to me, he kind of let on that, everything might be, we knew that was not an option, but we knew that was a possibility. But, he was just trying to make me feel better so I wouldn't stress out in the doctor's office when I was there that morning. So, but yeah, she was like something about an emergency scan for viability or something. And so she's like, so what's going on? And I told her, we'd just been to his office that morning. They couldn't get a heartbeat, but they couldn't get me in for an ultrasound in the office that day. So he sent me there. And she's like, okay. So go ahead and, So I got ready for the ultrasound, and instant. Boom, 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 boom. And she's like, yeah, you're good to go. And I mean, within like 15 seconds of her putting, the Doppler thing on my belly, you could hear the heartbeat nice and strong. And then we also got to see pictures of her, and so yeah, we were beyond thrilled, felt like a weight was lifted off of me. I could breathe again, and that was super duper scary. JJJ. But back early on when I first started my channel, I don't know, it'd been a few weeks, and I had mentioned going to one of those palette painting parties. And the palette that I had picked out or the design that I had picked out to paint, says something like, feathers appear when loved ones are near. And if I can think, I'll add a picture of that here too. But yeah, that's, you know, we just always said that. And even today, if I see a feather floating around outside, or if I see a feather on the ground, I'm like, hi, Dad. You know, it's weird, I know, but so let me double check, make sure I don't see any more J's before I move to the next color. That's the cool thing about these partials, is there's only 16 colors, and you know, they work up pretty quick. So you do change colors often though, but I could have done the, you know, like taken one color and worked all the way across it, but I decided to just do one feather at a time. So that was my plan. I'm gonna do the up arrow number 11. Okay, so back to the day that we had her. Now that we got the feather thing out of the way. Double check again. Up arrow. Okay. So we go in and we get checked in on the obstetrics floor, you know, and they start things rolling, you know. They get me in a gown and put the little Doppler thing on my belly. Not Doppler, but where they like, I don't remember what that thing is called, but they like elastic this thing to your belly so that they can hear the heartbeat, the baby's heartbeat all the time. And so they had me in on that, or that on my belly. And by then family had started coming in, you know, like before I went in for the actual surgery. And the anesthesia guy comes in and he's like, so, you know, and he said, I see on your record, because I had my baby Eli at the same hospital 14 years before. He said, I see on your record that you had a C-section with an epidural before. And I said, yeah. And funny enough, you're the guy that was my anesthetic, or my anesthesiologist last time too. And I recognized him right off the bat. And I remembered his name, you know. But the reason is because when I had Eli and they gave me an epidural, for whatever reason, my heart rate went like through the bottom of the floor. And they were like asking me questions like, what was my name? Who was the president? When's my birthday? What year is it? All kinds of weird stuff. And then the anesthesiologist ended up going into the operating room with me, and he was sitting there and he was basically saying, if you start feeling numbness up in your arms or your chest, please let me know. And they had to give me medicine to like increase my blood pressure and stuff. So yeah, it was really weird, but I mean, he got me with one stick when I had Eli for the epidural. Just one stick, he was done. However, this time was not like that. Oh, there goes the UPS man. However, he did not stop at my house. Oh well. Let me find this next color. These are moving quick, man. Number 9. If anybody knows, I know this is totally off topic. I love these. Okay, I love these. However, I would like bigger ones. I know that they have taller ones, but do they have bigger round ones? Like enough that you could like kit up like a DAC? I just really like the round jars, but I would like them to be bigger. And like have like a 60 slot one or something. I don't know. Anyway, if you do, please leave me a comment. So, oh no, I put that back. What color was that? Oh no. I think it was that little carrot, which was number 9. Okay. Yeah, I accidentally put that back into the container. I always like to leave it out so I know what color I'm working on. Holy cow. So, okay, back to what I was talking about. I had to stop for a minute, the camera. But anyway, the anesthesiologist guy, yeah, that's what I was talking about. He had, came in there and he's like, do you have any concerns or questions or about what we're going to be doing today? And I'm like, no, not really. I said, then I explained to him about the 14 years ago when I had Eli. They gave me the epidural and my blood pressure dropped. And he said that, I know that that's scary. He said, but for some women, it's like common that can happen. And he said they always have some sort of medication that like they can give you to make your blood pressure go back up or whatever. And I'm like, okay. But he said that he wanted to do, I can't remember what else they called it. Something about an epidural. But then if he gave me the options, he's like, we're going to go for an epidural. If for whatever reason we can't get the epidural to work, then we'll do this. And if that won't work, then the last option would be, like knocking you out. You know what I mean? Under sedation or whatever you want to call it. And, but of course that's like the last. They don't really ever want to put you to sleep if they don't have to. Just because, there are a lot more things can happen, I guess. So anyway, we get, the nurse had came in and all like pre-surgery stuff, all the things. I had to take my jewelry off, and which, by the way, this is so weird and random. I took my wedding ring off and a necklace that I had, and I put them in an Altoid. I had an Altoid, like cinnamon Altoid mint tin in my purse. And my husband, Dale, he's like, what do you want me to do with these? I'm like, just because I was afraid that my necklace would get like twisted up or whatever. And I said, just put it in that Altoid tin, because it was literally like I had 1 or 2 mints left in it. And he's like, okay. Still to this day, 2 years later, that ring and that necklace is still in that Altoid tin. I have not worn my wedding ring. Like, yeah, in 2 years. Weird. Anyway, I will one of these days. I'll put it back on. I just haven't. Very random. I know it's random. Let me grab a swig of coffee. I feel like I'm saying and anyways a lot, and I don't know why, other than I'm thinking that I'm a little bit like anxious to tell the story. I don't know, I just feel kind of weird telling the story, but okay, next color is this Y, which is number 14. So they do all the pre-surgery stuff, and they're checking my blood pressure because, as I had mentioned last week, I was put on bed rest because of my blood pressure. I was like pre-eclamptic or whatever you want to call it. Not pre-eclampsia, but like, what is it when it's like, I I can't remember what they call it. Like before preeclampsia. It's something else. But it can turn into preeclampsia. I never actually got preeclampsia, but that's what he was trying to keep from happening. So he kept me on bed rest because of my blood pressure. And just an FYI, no one ever in the hospital, as far as doctors, nurses, anesthesiologists, no one in there ever once made me feel any kind of way about me being there to have a baby at my age, you know. First of all, I know that I don't look my age. I know that. I know I look younger than I actually am. Thank you, Jesus, for good genes. But also, I mean, everybody would see on my paperwork, and I'm sure that right there in big red letters somewhere on my record says geriatric mother to be, or something stupid, you know, because of the whole geriatric word that my OB kept using. So, but I will just say that none of the nurses or anyone ever made me feel any kind of way. Like, nobody ever once said, oh my gosh, it's so cool that you're here to have a baby at 41 years old. You know what I mean? Like, nobody ever said that. So, I appreciated that, you know. But, so the anesthesiologist left, and he's like, okay, we'll see you back in the OR here in a little bit. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. And then, my husband has my jewelry put away. Oh, and then my mom had passed away years ago, and back in 2007. And she had a, I don't know how else to explain it, so I'm just going to say it how we say it. But if you've ever heard of a prayer cloth is usually a little white square cloth, like made out of like thin, like handkerchief material or something. And it's been covered in prayer oil and prayed over and given to someone who, you know, is sick or going through something, or just, you know. But anyway, my mom, when she was sick and going through her cancer and stuff, whenever she was in the process of passing away, had been given a prayer cloth, and it was attached to a little like prayer blanket that some of the church folks had given her. And I kept that prayer blanket, and attached to it was that prayer cloth with a little like safety pin or something, you know. And I had it folded up and put away in the closet, in my closet. And I took the prayer cloth off of my mom's prayer blanket and took it to the hospital with me in hopes that I could take it into surgery with me. And so I told the nurse that was getting me ready for surgery what I had, and she said, oh, that's fine. I mean, they're used to that kind of stuff, I'm sure, you know. She said, that's fine. She said, we can attach it with a piece of tape, though, because she said we can't have any metal on you when you go in for surgery. So I couldn't use the safety pin, you know, but she like used a piece of like surgical tape or whatever and taped it to my hospital gown. There goes the UPS truck back up the road, but he did not stop at my house again. Looks like he stopped at my neighbor's house, though. Turd muffin. I don't know that I'm really expecting anything. I mean, I think there's 2 or 3 packages that might be out, but I think they're coming regular mail and not UPS. But anyways, another swig of coffee. Do this little symbol here. Keep getting lost in keep losing my train of thought. So anyway, she taped the prayer cloth to me and got finished getting me ready for surgery. So by that point, my sister is there, her son is there, my nephew. I think that was it. It was just my sister and my nephew, I believe, that was there. Besides Dale, obviously. And they were wheeling me on out of the pre-op room or whatever. And Dale was following behind, but they were taking him somewhere separate to another like room for him to get gowned up so he could go into the operating room with me. They only allow one person, or now with COVID, I'm sure that's different, but this was pre-COVID, barely. 13 is this little symbol here. So they're getting him ready, and my doctor comes in and he's like, okay, are we ready to roll? And I'm like, yep, ready as I'll ever be. And they're wheeling me out, and I'm like getting scared and nervous. And I look at my sister and I'm like, please be praying, pray, pray, pray. And she's like, I'm praying. And I'm like, okay. So, there's always the chance that something can happen when you're going in for surgery, And, I mean, things happen every day. So, I just wanted to be covered in prayer, literally. And so we get back to the operating room, and it's very, like cold and sterile in there. Like everything is just, you see all the stuff. And they have the little like thing that they put the baby in when the babies are born that weighs them, and where they work on them and suction them out and clean them up and everything, and it was covered in like a little cute baby blanket. And they had all the stuff there at the ready. The little tray with all the stuff was ready. I had to get out of one bed onto the other bed. And it was just like, as soon as you get in there, it's like the vibe goes from, hey, how you doing, to, all right, let's get down to business. You know what I mean? It's like a switch flips, and like it's like party in the back, business up front, or whatever. That's kind of how it reminded me. And there's like a little window behind me where my doctor is standing, and he's already like masked up and got his gear and gloves and everything on, and his nurses are behind him in that room. I can see him through the glass window. But right now, the one nurse is like getting me prepped, and the anesthesiologist is working on getting my epidural in. If this is like too much information as far as epidural stuff goes, or if you get like triggered by that kind of thing, then maybe fast forward a little bit, but yeah, so he has me just kind of sit up. Now, the first time I had my epidural with Eli, I had to like turn sideways with my legs dangling off the bed and like bend over a pillow, and the nurse like had me hugged up. And this time he just had me I was still all in the bed. My legs and everything were still in the bed, but he just had me sit up and kind of slump over. And he would tell me, okay, I'm going to give you, you're going to feel a little sting. You're going to feel this. You're going to feel pressure. Da, 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 da. And he's like, nope, I didn't get it. And he was having trouble finding the right, like, space to put it. And that didn't happen the first time, you know. So I don't know if just, you know, I don't know why he had more difficulty finding the right place to put the needle or the tube or whatever this time. But yeah, he, the equal sign. He tried and tried and tried and tried. I mean, he stuck me like, and he was so apologetic. He kept saying over and over and over, I'm so sorry. Let me get it this time. If we don't get it this time, then, you know, I'll have you move a different direction or whatever. Well, after 3 or 4 sticks in my back with this big long, and him trying to feed the tube up, and then it would like hit something and he'd have to pull the tube back out and then move somewhere else. He did that 3 or 4 times. And when I had my first epidural, it was done in 5 minutes. You know, this time, this was 15 minutes later, and he was still trying. And so finally, he's like, okay, he said, I need you to turn with your legs dangling off the bed, hold this pillow. The nurse is going to hug you, squeeze, bear hug you. And that's pretty much what happened, you know. And she was checking my blood pressure the entire time too. I mean, here I'm like just a nervous wreck because I'm like, oh my God, any minute, you know, I'm going to be like paralyzed. Which I know he's been an anesthesiologist for years, and he's a good one. He can't help that he struggled with, you know what I'm saying? So I like didn't hold him. I wasn't like upset with him at all. But he had me dangle my legs off, and she was bear hugging me, and he's like, okay, I need you to bend over and arch your back out as far as you can. And I did. And then he's like, okay, bingo. And instantly I felt my legs start getting cold. I'm like, and he's like, okay, get her legs up on the table. So they got my legs up on the table. And he's like, can you lift your legs? And I'm like, I can't even feel my legs. And he's like, okay. And then boom, 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 boom. Here was my doctor coming straight out the door. The women, things were getting ready. The sheet went up between me and the doctor, like for the C-section sheet, you know. And the anesthesiologist was, like I said, so apologetic. And he said, I'm right here. He said, I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to hold your hand. He said, let me know if you feel any numbness past your, like, elbows or whatever. And they kept checking my blood pressure and continuously, you know. And so, but it was, like, so quick that I didn't really, like, have time to be nervous. You know, I was nervous, but it was like there was just so much other stuff going on. But my husband comes in and all his garb, his like hospital gown stuff, you know. And I only needed 3 of these, and I poured several out. But anyway, he comes in and he's like, gosh, what took so long? Because they told him he could go in, you know, just as soon as he got dressed. But they had all that trouble with getting my epidural, so he had to wait until they were done with that. And I was like, it took them forever to get my epidural in. I said, they stuck me like 15 times, you know. And he's like, oh, God, you know. And my doctor says, okay, he said, and I remember it was so weird because he was like scrubbing his, you know, I don't know what he was doing. I think he was already scrubbed in when he was standing there waiting for the epidural. But he was over there doing something, and I guess just getting tools ready or whatever. And moving lights around to where he wanted them. And I was like, you know, I said, it was funny this morning as we were coming into the hospital. You know, I'm thinking to myself, you know, this guy and it was so random. I have no idea why I even said this. But I was like, you know, I said, it's so crazy. I said, you know, this one guy is driving to work to go, like, bag groceries for the day. Or this guy's getting ready to go deliver mail all day. And this guy's getting ready to go, like, flip burgers all day. And I said, but, you know, how does it feel knowing that when you're getting in your car driving to work, you're going to be delivering babies, like bringing life into the world? And he's like, yeah, he said, some days I'd rather be delivering mail or flipping burgers. And I was like, oh, but then he laughed, you know, and he's like, no, he said, honestly, best job in the world, you know. And, but he laughed at me. He thought it was funny. And he said, okay. He said, so, and this is where, again, if you get triggered by surgery or birthing or C-section things, skip forward some more, I guess. I don't know. But I'll let you do that while I pick out this last color, which is an AB. Pretty white AB. So he says they got the sheet pulled up, and I'm using this little generic pink pen for ABs because all my other little pens had like putty or super sticky, not super sticky, what do you call it? Glue dots in the single placers. And I just grabbed that and stuck it in some Not Your Mama's mud to place ABs with. But it's kind of getting low and I'm going to have to refill it. But he says, okay, Mama. He said, I'm just going to do this little test here just to make sure you're good and numb. He said, let me know if you can feel this. And he said, let me know if it feels cold to touch. When it touches you, let me know if it's cold. And I said, okay. And I felt, you know, something like on my belly. Like, it just felt like he went like that, you know, on my belly. And I could feel the pressure that he was touching me, but I didn't feel anything cold. And that's what I told him. I said, I can feel that you touched me with something, but it don't feel cold. And he said, does it feel hot? And I said, nope. I said, I just feel that you just touched me with something. That's all, you know. And he's like, okay, you're ready to go. I said, what does that mean? What did you do? And he said, it's something that they use that is like so cold that if it's on your skin for longer than like so many seconds, that it can actually burn your skin, you know. But he said, if you are not numb and I touch you with that, you're going to tell me, oh yeah, that was like, I felt that. That was cold or hot or whatever, you know. So he knew I was numb and ready to go. So, which I could have told him that because I didn't feel nothing. And let me scoot this onto the next feather. And I didn't mean to turn my light pad on. So anyway, Dale's there with me and I'm fine. I mean, I'm like joking around with Dr. Wright. The nurses are kind of giggling and talking to me, and I'm feeling much chiller, you know, and I could feel him. I could feel the, you know, the first time when I had Eli, I literally said that it felt like my belly was being unzipped. And I don't know how to explain that. Like, I've heard people say that before, but I don't really know how else to explain it. But that's literally what it felt like. It didn't hurt at all. I just felt, and it had with like a weird sensation when he was making the incision in my stomach, or maybe it wasn't my stomach. Maybe it was because, you know, they have to go through like 7 layers. They go through your skin and then several layers of this and that, and then the uterus and this and that. And so, number 8. But yeah, he was asking me questions and was talking to me, and just trying to keep my mind, you know, occupied. And in between him asking me questions and talking to me, he would, you know, say little things to the nurse, like suction there, suction here, do this, do that. But never once did he have like a nervousness in his voice, or, you know. So I was completely just calm. And then all of a sudden, there she was, you know. And he's like, here's your little peanut. And he kind of held her out around the curtain, you know. And she was a little peanut. She was teeny tiny. And she started crying, you know, the normal thing. Her face was all like squinched up, and oh my God, cutest little thing ever. And I'm going to insert here some pictures. But anyway, you'll see me and Dale, me still actually on the operating table, laying there with him. And then after they get her wiped down, while he's like stitching and stapling me up, they bring her over and let me kind of see her from a side view, you know, and get a few pictures. And then while my doctor's finishing me up, Dale is over there with Jolie, you know, getting weighed and measured and doing all the little like newborn testing things they do like right away, you know, APGAR scores and all that kind of stuff. And I hope that you guys enjoy some of the pictures, and I will be sure and share like newborn pictures of her too, you know, like. And when we came home, on the way home, we stopped at the nursing home. So my husband's mom was in a nursing home, and she, I can't remember, I think she had fallen or something, and was like in the nursing home for like a rehab kind of thing. And we had stopped to visit her on the way home before we took the baby home. That was the first stop we made, was so that she could see the baby. And we got pictures and everything, and I'll share those. Pictures with Grandma. And yeah, you can see how haggard I looked. I was like, oh God, you know, tired and sore and all of the things. But I will say that 100% I give credit to those nurses who care for you after you have babies, those like OB nurses. Man, they are angels. I can't even tell you. They're angels. Many of you probably feel the same way. Some of you may have had bad experiences. There was one nurse that I had that I remember being like, I didn't like her at all. She was like really rude to, not really to me. I guess she was just doing her job, but I really took offense. But she like my family was there after I had her. Why did I put them away when I still had these little ones here? Good grief. Number 8. So, yeah, anyway, I was just kind of like, meh, I didn't like her. So my family was there, my sister, and then after I had the baby, you know, that's when more people had come to visit and see us and bring stuff, you know, and they were just kind of like, she was just kind of, the nurse was just kind of rude to them. And it got on my nerves. And there were 2 or 3 other things that she did, and I just didn't like her, you know. And I said something to one of the nurse that came in that night, and I told her, I'm like, I don't know who that woman was that was here that just left. I said, but is she going to be here over the weekend? And she's like, yeah, but she's not going to be working on this floor. She's going to be working somewhere else, and I'll be working here, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, cool. And so, but yeah, I was like, because I had gestational diabetes through the pregnancy, I was like, after the surgery was over, I couldn't move. I had to wait like 12 hours before the epidural wore off, and they would let me get up and walk around. It was like after midnight that night. And let me grab this F15. I wanted food and like sugar and carbs and all the stuff that I couldn't have a lot of, you know, because of the gestational diabetes. And my husband went straight whenever I could eat, and got, I think I got chicken fingers from the Dairy Queen and fries and a large, I didn't want no small or medium. I wanted a large Reese's Peanut Butter Cup Blizzard. Yes, that's what I wanted. And that's what I got. And you know what? I ate every bit of it. I was hungry. First of all, because I wasn't allowed to eat after a certain time the night before, you know. And then it had been all day. I had had no breakfast, no lunch. By this time, it was already on the verge of getting dark out. You know, so I was starving. So, he goes and gets food and comes back, and 15 is the letter F. But back to like right after I had her. So they were like, okay, mama, let's do some skin to skin. And I was like, oh, yay. You know, because I hadn't got to hold her just yet. And they had me, like, I had to lay flat, I think, for so long before I could sit up. I don't know, but I don't see any more of these F's, or do I? Let me look real quick. I don't think I do. Nope. So they brought her in, and kind of like, they had warming blankets on me. If you've ever had anything done in the hospital, and afterwards they bring those hot blankets and lay on top of you, oh my God, it is like heaven. It is like heaven. Oh my God, it felt so good. But they had those little warm blankets on me, like 2 or 3. And they brought the baby in and like kind of stuck her under the blanket on top of my chest, you know. And instantly she started, you know, rooting for that boobage, you know. And I was going to breastfeed. That was first and foremost. But because of her size, because of how little she was, and keep in mind, she was full term, but she was still a little bitty. They were like, wanted me to breastfeed, but they had also wanted me to supplement formula feed her. Because I guess they were, you know, worried about her gaining weight, and, because of her being little, I guess smaller babies have a harder time breastfeeding. I don't know, but anyway. She breastfed. I mean, she instantly latched right on, took right off, wasn't having no trouble at all. But then she fell asleep. And she kept falling asleep. Like I, you know, rub her little cheek, touch her little feet, rub her little ear under her hat, you know, try to get her to wake up and eat some more. And she would eat a little bit and then doze back off, you know, how babies do. And, but she laid there. I mean, we laid there together like for a good hour, I'm pretty sure. And they checked her sugar and kept checking my sugar and all that kind of fun stuff. And when Eli was born, he had, well, he didn't have until like the day we were leaving, started getting like the jaundice, you know. So whenever he came home, he had to come home on one of those lights. Like a little, I called him my glowworm, you know. But she never did get jaundiced. And so that was good, because with him, we had to take him back to the hospital every day to check his whatever, you know, level. And I did it again. I put that right back in that container. Yeah, it's that color. Oh my God, I keep doing that. But everything was good with her. We took a ton of pictures at the hospital, though, with her. And she was just the cutest little thing. She still is, obviously. But, and of course, I'm going to add more pictures here. Right there. I hope you enjoy them as much as we do. As far as the surgery goes, I did really good. The first time when I had Eli, I had to have a C-section with him, and oh my God. They had me on, sorry, my neighbor is a farmer, and when he pulls in and out of his driveway, I swear it sounds like he's taking the whole neighborhood with him. He just, but he just drags big heavy machinery in and out of his driveway all day, every day, and it's super loud. But what was I saying? Oh, with him, I was taken when I was in the hospital 14 years ago. I was on, they gave me Percocet and ibuprofen, like 800 milligram ibuprofen and Percocet. And the Percocet, like, knocked my brains out. Like, I remember Dale, like, taking Eli out of my arms because I was literally falling asleep holding him mid-sentence. Like, I would just be talking in a sentence and just fall straight asleep with that Percocet, with that medicine. And it definitely helped the pain, you know, but it also knocked me out. And so then, but it took me forever when I got back home and just moving around at the hospital, period. It was so hard. And then with her, I got up at midnight or a little bit after midnight, and the nurse came in there and she's like, okay, time to get up. Are you ready to get up and walk around? I'm like, yeah. So we got up and went to the bathroom, and it was a struggle getting out of the bed that first time, because by then I could feel everything, and, you know, my stomach was obviously very, very sore. And, like, if I moved an inch turning out of the bed to try to get turned out of the bed to grab a hold of, like, the bed rail and pull myself up to a standing position, it felt like everything in me was falling out. You know, it was just awful. And, but anyway, I made it to the bathroom, and just kind of walked around a little bit, and then would lay back down. And my legs were swollen, though. At that point, my legs were so swollen. And that's really the biggest complaint. I think I complain more about my legs and feet being swollen more than I complained of my belly hurting, you know, my stomach, the incision hurting. And, which is crazy. I know, every time the doctor would come in, he's like, what's going, how you feeling? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh my God, is there anything you can do for my legs? Like, I feel like I'm dying. And, like, my legs, you know, how your legs are shaped. Like, you'll have, like, you've got your like thigh is up here and your feet are down here. So here's your thigh, and then you have your kneecap or your knee, and then your like calf muscle. You know, your legs are defined. They're not like a straight log. Well, mine were. Like, my legs were as fat from my ankles were the size of my thigh. Like, it was like my whole leg was one entire long thigh. It was huge, both of them. And he's like, it's going to take a while. He said, there's nothing really that I can give you. He said, you just need to get up and move. Try to limit your salt. Drink enough water. Make sure you're resting with your feet up over your, you know, supposedly above your heart level or whatever. And I'm like, okay. But that was really the biggest complaint that I had, because it was just so uncomfortable. And he kept reassuring me, you know, but he did tell me, he said, I'm just going to be honest. He said, it can take up to 2 weeks before they go down. He said it just takes time for your body to get rid of the excess and to also like reabsorb the fluid or whatever, you know. And I'm like, okay, but surely to God it ain't gonna take 2 weeks. I figured a week. It took 2 weeks, every bit of it. But he was right. It was like on that 2-week date, boom, my legs and my feet were normal, you know. I was like, oh my God, I've got feet, I've got ankles, I've got knees. But yeah, it was all kinds of crazy stuff, you know. I mean, as far as having a baby after 40, I can't say that it was any different than when I had him 14 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, there's no... It was actually easier this time. Like, I think that my pregnancy was easier with Eli, but it wasn't because of my age. It was more because of, with him, I didn't have anxiety and depression. With her, I did. I struggled with it years before I got pregnant with her, but still yet, I had a lot of anxiety and depression with her, and because of that, I felt sad all the time, and I was so exhausted all the time, like literally had zero energy, zero motivation, you know, all kinds of stuff. But I feel like it wouldn't have mattered how old I was. It would have been the same way, you know. So I don't feel like there was any difference. I do feel like overall it was easier with her, even at my age of 41. But I can say that it may be because I already knew what to expect. Also, the fact that this time around with her, they didn't give me Percocet. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like the whole, like, drug war, you know, them, like, fearful of people getting addicted and abusing or whatever, which I get that, but my God, if you have your stomach ripped open and a baby yanked out of it, give me some daggone pain medicine, you know? Anyway, on the second or third day, Dale had, like, he spent the first night with me at the hospital, but then the second and third night at the hospital, I stayed by myself because he had to go get Eli. You know, I couldn't leave Eli at my niece's for 2 or 3 days. I mean, I could have, but I didn't want him to stress, you know, and, so Dale came home and kept Eli at home, and so, you know, I didn't have any help at the hospital for a couple of days, or a couple of nights, because Dale would come back during the day, you know, and spend the day with us, but then he would go home at night, and that was rough. I'll have to say that was rough, because I wasn't able to get sleep through the night, and trying to sleep through the day is just hard. Even with him there, you know, it was just impossible. He could have been like, oh, you know, go ahead and get some sleep, but that's impossible during the daytime. And so that was probably the other hardest part, was just being by myself. And I will admit, I dozed off holding her. Like, I remember, like, being in the bed, and I'm like, I want to get up and sit in that chair and feed her, you know. And so I would get up and I would sit in the chair, and I would position her on a pillow, like on a boppy pillow, in a way on my lap, so that if I did drift off or doze off, and I had like 2 chairs put together, so I was like sitting in a chair, and the other chair I had pushed together so that I could like put my feet up on this chair. You know, it was kind of like a lounger thing. And so I had her positioned in a way on my lap, so that if I did doze off and fall asleep, that she wouldn't fall, you know. There was no way she could have fallen off that boppy pillow. And so I dozed off a lot like that, and had her right there with me and stuff. So we were all cool in that aspect. But buddy, I was ready to get home. I was ready. Yes, sister, I was. I was ready to come home with you. Yes, I was. Mm-hmm. Are you funny? Are you funny? You are super funny. But that is pretty much the story. I know there was a lot of like randomness details in there, but you know, I'm very random, and it takes me, like I said a long time ago, it takes me 2 hours to tell a 5-minute story. So there you go. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate your interest in this. I know last week for the WIP and Chat, when I talked about being pregnant with her after 40 years old, there were so many sweet comments. You guys are just incredible. You're so sweet. I loved reading the comments. I loved everybody's feedback, even those of you, especially those of you who had babies later in life too, you know. So it just makes you feel good, you know. But I do appreciate all the love and the comments and everything that you guys have said, and all the thumbs ups and all that good stuff. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope I kept you busy a little bit, or kept you company a little bit while you worked on your WIP. I'm hoping to have this WIP done. There's 11 feathers on this total. Let me show you. So it's a long, that's just a cover binder right there, but it's a long diamond painting. So there's the end of it, and then here. Altogether, there's 11 feathers on this, and I've got 1, 2, 3, and then I'd worked on this side too. 1, 2, 3, 4 on this end done, and then these 3 on this one. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 feathers left. And I just started this yesterday, and I could probably be done with this today, or tomorrow. So yeah, and I'll do a little post review of it and let you know what I think. So anyway, thanks guys for coming and hanging out with me a little bit today. I hope that I didn't terrify you, or scare you, or offend you in any way. If I did offend you with this story, then I don't know what to even say about that. But yeah, so I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out as always. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you watching. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button. It always helps the videos out. And if you are new here, you're welcome to hit the subscribe button and ring that notification bell, ding, 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 to get notified the next time I upload another video. You guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.